Thank you, Madam Chair, and it's nice to see you, Secretary, and appreciate all of your work, not only in my state, which has been terrific, but across the nation and your service. Last year, we worked to get, and we were successful in getting the $100 million in direct appropriations to our Appalachian Development Highway System. As you know, and you and I have talked about this, the Quarter H project still remains unfinished, and it's still quite costly, the last part, because the difficult miles are ahead. I'm curious to know what your, at the department's priority is in terms of the Appalachian Development Highway Systems, and if you could, I don't know if you have it this granular, explain what that $100 million infusion into that system has been used for.
Well, the department is certainly committed to Appalachian communities and the completion of the Appalachian Development Highway system. And currently, approximately 90% of the system is open to traffic.
Right.
And the fiscal year 2020 Appropriations Act, I was very pleased to see finally include the $100 million. So the president the administration is now looking at the Surface Reauthorization Act, and we are actually working through legislative language through the clearance process within the executive branch. So we hope that this priority will continue to be reflected in the reauthorization as well. As for how the $100 million is spent, there's a whole plan there. And I don't have that ready, so I will get that to you.
That's fine, thank you, and I appreciate that. I think that what we found in looking at the different systems and the 10% that's yet to be completed, some states have sort of reevaluated where they're moving forward. This one is still, as you know, and you and I have talked about this, a major priority for our state because of it would really open up the central part of our state to a lot of economic development. Speaking of the highway bill, I'm on EPW as well, and was part of the development of the bill that we put together and passed out of that committee unanimously, and I'm hoping that we can get to that sometime in the next several months here. But one of the issues that I've been concerned about is bridges. West Virginia's number 5 in the number of deficient bridges. And in that bill, we were able to dedicate $6 billion to this challenge. And I know that you at the department have prioritized this in terms of bridges. What kind of progress have you made with that, and what kind of emphasis do you have that in this budget?
Well, your point just reinforces the importance of paying attention to rural America.
Right.
Because 90% of bridges that are deemed to have some deficiency are in rural America. And about 85% of bridges with weight limits are actually in rural America.
Right.
So after a period of great neglect, we are finally beginning to address the needs of rural America. So on the issue of bridges that you bring out in particular, obviously our number one concern is safety. And the president's budget this year, this request, includes a $35 billion proposal to rebuild rural and large urban bridges across the country. And to maximize its effectiveness, the program would dedicate about $12 billion for what's called off-system bridges allocated via formula, and about $23 billion will be provided for larger bridges via competitive process. So Congress, obviously, your advocacy for your state and these issues has also been very important. I'll just brag a little bit for you. The fiscal year 2020, last year, Department of Transportation Appropriations Act included a $1.1 billion for the Formula Bridge Replacement Rehabilitation Program.
Yeah, that's absolutely critical, and I appreciate the emphasis on the rural areas, because a state like ours that has a lot of mountains, a lot of streams, we have a lot of bridges, and we don't have the necessary dollars that take to not just replace, but to maintain. And also one of the things that we built into the highway bill that we're hoping to get to is a lot more sustainable building, a lot more innovative ways to construct that will use the natural environment, but will also have a longer life. And I think that's something that's smart. I'm going to ask you quickly about because this is an issue I'm very concerned about, drunk driving, and we have the DADS program that I've been working with them, which is a detection system within the car. There's been research and development on that. Where do you see the technology on this, and as the department, and you know, are we? I'm getting conflicting information. We're a year away from this. We could do it right now. And so I'd like to hear the department's or your perspectives on this.
Well, we're certainly very focused on this new technology because it would certainly help. As for the timeline, unfortunately, that's part of the reality of new technology. We're just not quite sure. I think 1 year is a little bit optimistic, but we have current developments already include, like we have field operational testing of prototypes. We have stakeholder teams for overall program direction. We're engaging in outreach efforts to encourage fleet operators to partner with us in deploying this technology because we need to test drive it with them. And then also we're distributing updated guidelines to states, Department of Transportations regarding how they might use their grant dollars for DAD's technology deployment.
I appreciate
all of this
that.
is ongoing.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned safety first, and obviously the attribution of alcohol to many of accidents and deaths on our highway is way too high. So I'm glad to be working with the department. Thank you for your work in this area. Thank you, Madam Chair.